All right, everybody, I am back with part 2 of the SaaSbox single page application build. In the previous part, in the last video, we left off, we were just structuring the header, the navigation, the floating group wrapper body that contains all of our views. We have one in there right now. And then we created the dashboard view as a reusable element. So that's kind of where we left off. I want to step back just a little bit on this wrapper view, this the view container that we're putting all of our views in. This is a floating group. We want to change this to both, and we're doing that because of the same reason we did that with the navigation over here. When the viewport gets too small and content is overflowing, you'll get a nice scroll bar here that's tucked right underneath this header, and I'll try to show you that. So now we're going to work on the navigation structure. So wiring up the buttons over here. When we click, we're going to use path segments as a list in the URL to obtain pretty URLs and then be able to transition between those views. So let's start stepping through that. The first thing we're going to do is we have a dashboard view here. So let's go ahead and start with this first one that we dropped in here. First thing you want to do, if you remember in the video, we want to uncheck make this element visible on page load and then collapse when hidden. So when it's not showing, it collapses that space and allows for other views to be able to show without being pushed down. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to say that this little house button here is our dashboard view. So the first thing we want to do is we want to figure out our navigation structure. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to use option sets, because when you use option sets, it makes it really easy to add down the line, really easy to add more navigational links, as well as tie them back to the views. So let's just go create a quick option set here with just 2 links. We're only going to do 2 links. I'm going to drop another view in here. But let's go to our option sets, data option sets, skip tutorial. This is a free app, so they're trying to show us how to do things. So let's call this, I like to name my option sets with OS starting first, dash, space, and then call this just navigation for now. And let's create that. So let's create a few options in here. First, let's create an attribute called, let's call it label. And this is actually kind of like, this is how we're going to get pretty text when we need to display the actual label of the navigation. So if it's dashboard, it'll be dashboard. If it's people listing, it'll be people listing. Really nice. So let's do text here, and we'll just call that label. And then this is the display. So if you're familiar with option sets, this is the display. We're going to make this, we're going to call this dashboard, but we're going to call it lowercase dashboard, because we're going to leverage this in the path up here in the URL. We don't want a capital dashboard, right? So we're going to make that dashboard just like that. So we want to keep that D lowercase in here. And what I like to, they call it display, but for this purpose of navigation, this is the route. This is the route that we're using to put and inject into the URL. So let's create that, and let's create one more called people, because I'm going to create another view with a pre-made component that I have in Atomic Fusion that already has a very small repeating group in it. And for the sake of the video, it just speeds things up. So we'll call that people, and we'll create. And then let's go edit and modify this label. And I'm going to call this dashboard, just how it is, but with a capital D, because this is what we're going to use to actually display anywhere throughout the app the actual label of where we're at. And then this one's going to be people. And the reason why we have to do this is I tried before where you do the capital D, capital P here on the option set, But when you're accessing the URL path segment and it's an option set, you actually have to access and be able to grab that data through the display value. So I know that's probably confusing, but I had these reversed at one time. This was actually called route, and it had the lowercase value in it. But when you go to start accessing this value, this is an option set value up here. You have to access the other data in the option set through the display value. So this needs to actually be injecting the display value, right? This value here, the display, this is the display. So I had to reverse those a little bit so you can get access to all the other attributes in the option set. So there could be other fields here, and we might want to get access to those to be able to dynamically do stuff in our views. So I know that's a bit confusing. I can go into more depth with that later if I need to for you guys. But so we have two navigation things here, two navigational URLs here now. So what we want to do is we'll go to this navigation bar view. So we'll go to the side nav bar collapsed, and this is going to be our navigation. So on click, we want to navigate, go to page, destination, main. This is our main SPA, so we're just going to navigate right back to the same page, and don't worry, you don't see a page refresh. And then we are going to select, this is where we get into the path, the path segments as a list a little bit, but to be able to access this, we want to do data send arbitrary text. And then within that arbitrary text, we are going to grab an option set value. So let's do option set, and we are going to get the dashboard value, right? And then if you needed to, it's going to actually be display. There we go. And if you remember, in our option set, we did lowercase on the display, so it looks pretty up in the URL, right? So let's go back to the workflow, and then you could extend this to another path. So you could actually do dashboard, I don't know, charts, like that, right? And then extend that URL, and then up here it's going to say dashboard/charts. And then you would be able to access based on what was being displayed in that path. So you can go watch mine or Eli Beachy's videos on path segment lists, and you'll know that this main page right here is position 1. This next route is position 2. The next route would be 3, and so on and so on. Okay. So let's take that charts out for now. And we'll just stay with that. So when we click on this, it's going to throw this dashboard value up here. So let me take that out because I manually typed that in. So watch this. When I click this, see how it puts that dashboard value up in there, right? Let me do that again for you. Click. Oops. Didn't like that. Refresh. Sorry about that. Dashboard. There you go. And we're going to access these positions right here to be able to get data, show views, et cetera, right? Okay, so we have the dashboard navigation set up. So now let's go back to our main single page app application. Let's go to our views. We already have the view for dashboard in there. And then we want to collapse while hidden. The element is unchecked when the element is visible on page load is unchecked. And then in conditional, we are going to do a condition to show this. And this is when we get into the path segments, right? So what we're going to do is get data from page URL, path segment as a list. So what that does is allows you to access these segments, these positions, 1, 2, and if there's another / 3, 4, and so on. And then since this is an option set, we are going to change this to the option set. So it's going to be OS navigation because we're leveraging that option set for navigating. And then we are going to, let's see, item number, I believe this is 2, is dashboard, because we want to show the dashboard, right? So we go through this again. Get data from page URL, path segment as a list, choose your navigational option set that we created. Item number 2, 1, 2, that's number 2, when item number 2 is dashboard. And as you see, it is dashboard. Then we're going to show this view, just like so. See how it's showing now? So I'll take that path out of there. We'll reset it. Click on it. Dashboard shows because this is being shown up here. And what that does, what this allows you to do, and I was talking to you guys about this lowercase display value as the route, and then the nice one that we want with a capital D where it's formatted correctly is the label. What that allows you to do now is access this option set through this position, right? So to give you an example, we can go now to the view dashboard and we can actually make this dynamic instead of static. So we can take this out and just say get data from page URL, path segment as a list, OS navigation. Then we want to do item number 2, label, because we want that nice capitalized dashboard now. So what we'll do is we'll reset it again, go back to the root, click on it, and there you go. It's accessing that dynamically from here. So now you can store all that stuff in your option set. Let's say you had a graphic you wanted to put in there, some other attributes you wanted to add that you could access in the view based on this position, this path segment. You can do that. It makes it really nice. And then when you start adding more links, now it's just a matter of copying and pasting your views and then just changing and adding navigational structure. So, and you'll see that in this next thing that I'm going to do. So I'm going to add a new view now because I have my dashboard view. Now we can do some charts in here. And if we were to do that, we would build some charts in this view, some tables, whatever we want to put in this view, and then it would show right here in the dashboard view. So let's go and do a new view. I have pre-made just a real simple repeating group with a list of people in it, and I've actually created a data set to show that for the sake of time. But what we'll do is we'll go ahead, I'm going to grab this out of Atomic Fusion. I did this before I started recording, and I'm going to copy this and paste. Oops, got to do it from the main page because it doesn't like to do that. Paste. It's going to create my new view. Again, if you don't use Atomic Fusion or frames, you'd be creating this view from scratch. And as you can see, I already have it structured here a little bit just to save us time for the video. So I'm not getting into creating the repeating group or anything. And then what I want to do now is I know that this is going to be called people, right? Because we already created that option set people navigational item there. So what I want to do is I'm going to highlight this over in the tree, the entire reusable, and I'm going to, actually, no, we don't want to do that. My bad. We want to go to main now, and then we want to go grab our new view and drop it here in our container, in our views container. So let's add that. Now we have our people view in there, and if you scroll up, you'll see that's nicely added into our view collection here. Clean that up a little bit, and then we'll do the same pattern. So let's do uncheck the element is visible on page load, collapse when hidden, do a conditional get page URL from a path segment. Again, an option set. You can do text and you can make this all static up in your URL, but I just like to use option sets. Makes it easier and cleaner, and you can access these values for other things. So we'll choose our option set navigation, item number 2, display is, excuse me, item number 2 is people, because we want to show when this item number 2, 1, 2, is people. So element is visible, check. Right? Now let's go make that happen with a workflow in this little people icon here. So let's go to our collapsed navigation bar. On this guy, we'll do create a workflow. We can just simply copy this one. This is where it starts making things easy. Paste this action in here and just update it, because we know we're going to go back to the main page. We know it's arbitrary text, but now we're just going to change this to people. Right? So when we click on that now, it's going to show the people list view. So dashboard, people. There you go. It's showing our view. And then click back. See how things are fast and snappy? I have a little transition here on this repeating group. Fast, snappy. Much better UX than multi-page. So let me show you real quick why we want to set that, like we did over here, the both thing. See that scroll bar right there that popped up? That's what we want. See how it's tucked underneath there? No, we don't want 2 scroll bars. We don't like that. So that's where we come back to zeroing out your pages. So let's go to main, and then let's zero things out. So let's go look at dashboard like this right here. Let's zero this out as much as we can. Well, let's just do like 10 pixels because it's going to wrap right to it. And then let's go look at the people view, and it looks like it's already zeroed out. So what we'll do now is on the entire page main, we're going to zero this out. See how we got this set to 1,000? That's why we're getting those scroll bars. So let's just zero this out for grins. You'll see it completely disappear. Don't worry. You could actually do 50 pixels if you wanted to. You just want to take that scroll out of it. So let's refresh that and see what happens. So now when the page is short, see that? You only get this one scroll bar tucked nicely under here for this view. See how it's scrolling up underneath the header? Really nice. And you'd have to go really high up here for it to get that other scroll bar there, because we zeroed it, or we basically took it down to 50 pixels. See that? So that's kind of why I like to do, that explains more why I like to do the, let's go ahead and add some more back to this so we can work. That explains why I like to add this floating group container to contain all those views, so we get that nice scroll bar effect tucked under here. And I had another video on that, real short video. Yeah, so that's kind of it on the structuring of the app. We can go a lot deeper on how I'm using the option sets and things of that nature, but it gives you a nice way to navigate within your app like that. See that? Now, if we wanted to add another view, we could just simply go, okay, well, I'm going to add another view here. And we could come in here, highlight this, and do edit copy now. And then do edit paste, and we're going to create another view. And we'll just call this, it won't make sense, but we'll call it cars. Now we have our cars view. This is where it gets where you can really iterate really quickly, right? And just for grins, let's just call this cars so we don't get confused. And then we can go back to main, go down to our cars view, drag our cars view in there, and then again clean it up, and then uncheck visible on page load, collapse when it's hidden, do a conditional on it, get data from, well, we can't do that yet because we have to create our navigation link. So let's close that and let's go to our navigations and let's call this cars, create, do the label attribute, cars with a nice capital C. Now we can go back, get data URL from path segment as a list, OS navigation, that's our navigation. Item number 2 is cars. And then we're going to show it. So when item number 2 is cars, we're going to show it, right? So let's go edit another. Let's go edit another workflow off the buttons. So we'll go to navbar collapse. We'll pretend this is the cars. I know it doesn't make sense. That's my daughter back there. Let's do start at edit workflow. We are going to navigate again. We can just copy from another one to make it fast. Copy, click paste. Oops, paste. Arbitrary text when display is cars. There you go. Then we're going to show it. So now we can go refresh. And then when I click here, cars. There you go. See, it's accessing number 2. People. See how fast it goes between these things? Very nice. So anyways, that's my short tutorial, everybody. I hope this helps you guys get an understanding of where I'm coming from on modular code. The views are great to work with. Let's say you wanted to show different things in here. You could hide, show different things based on you know, path number 3 or path number 4 up here. That's what I do with my settings page for like resetting passwords and stuff. And I just do all of that. Like I do a settings page here, and then I do different, I hide and show groups inside this view. And then it's all contained within the main structure of the app, right? So anyways, that's kind of my video. If you guys have questions, let me know. If you need me to go in depth more on something about that, if you're confused, just let me know, and I'll be happy to do that. Appreciate you guys watching. Have a good day.